We're live and good to go.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Township of Cavan-Monaghan Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee meeting for Thursday, September 12th, 2024. I don't have to do a motion for the call.
No, you don't.
Okay, I always forget. Okay.
It's the approval of the agenda is your first motion.
Okay. We will then move to the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Cavan-Monaghan is located on the Treaty 20 Michi-Saugee territory and the traditional territory of the Michi-Saugee Anishinaabeg. We offer our gratitude to First Nations for their care for and teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. Moving to item number 3, the approval of the agenda. If you have had a chance, take a look through the agenda. If everything looks to be in order, could I have a motion and a seconder? Nancy, seconder? John, all in favor? Motion carried. Item number 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Anything to be noted today? Does not look like it. Okay. I don't believe we have any closed session items. Right. Minutes of the meeting held on June 20th, 2024. If we can again take a glance at the minutes from the June 20th meetings. If there is no concerns, I can have a motioner and a seconder, and then if I could jump in there. I just saw that my name was spelled wrong on the signature line. I don't know if that's a huge deal. I don't really care. I know it's me. Last page. It's just a typo, but I didn't know if that was like sticky.
My apologies. I think that might have been from a previous one, but I could have also been me. I will fix that.
I do it all the time. It's fine. Word automatically does it, so I'm not concerned.
No, I'm happy you corrected that. It's good to have it, right?
I just want to sure how strict the rules are. Okay.
We'll prove it as amended just so that I make sure I fix it.
Okay, fantastic. Do I have a motion for the minutes? John, seconder, Nancy, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, item number 7, reports. Karen, is that being?
That's me for the financial.
Fantastic. Okay, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Stewart. So financials. So this year we obviously have an operating budget with several items in it, and then we have a capital budget with the signage for station parks. So in terms of our operating budget, so far we have not spent very much money. We've spent money on advertising for the redo of some of our heritage bylaws. So there's still money in that budget. Just so you know, there was no money specifically allocated to advertising, but because there's a budget, we can move it in the budget, so that's not going to be a problem. When we discuss 2025, maybe we need an advertising cost. In terms of our capital budget for the station park signage, that we haven't spent the money yet, but that work is in progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we expect, in terms of that work, we expect to spend that money this year. In terms of the
It'll be right at the end of the year.
it will be, yes, we will be.
Hit the wall.
Yeah. We expect that there may be expenses from here to the end of the year as well, depending on the status of our heritage bylaws. Probably we won't get to the landscaping component at Station Park just because of the weather.
Yep.
Heritage awards are always open. We have no applications at this moment in time, but if you can pound the bushes and make any nominations, we're happy to evaluate those and proceed with heritage awards. The contracted services, so I hope you remember that we do have contracted services. We have money in the budget to do some maintenance of downtown murals that's on the building. And that we met with the artist, and that work is going to occur before the end of the year. So we will be spending some of our allocated budget on that work as well. Okay. So financially, we're, in some respects in good shape because we still have money in the budget, but we do have to keep moving forward and spending the money that's been in the budget. In terms of the cemetery, signage, we're still working on the wording, so we may be able to finalize some of that before the end of the year as well. And then it's not in our budget, but Cindy and Mark in the clerk's department carried budget for maintenance activities at Ebenezer and Springville. So I'm sorry, John, our schedules couldn't jive, but so I did go, and everything looks pretty good. There's some landscaping issues at Ebenezer that need to be addressed, but the Parks and Recreation Department is going to help us out with that. So at Springville, there's a couple of there's obviously a piece of a grave marker in the ground that was broken, and it's there. There's a piece beside it with there's water in it, so I think Cindy was just going to call our monument people and just ask us should we do anything about that, because if the water's just going to sit there and it's going to freeze and thaw, and just we're going to end up. So that's in the works.
Okay.
So and that includes the financial part.
Okay. For the financial report, do we need just to do a summary?
We would need are you asking, do we need a motion?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
I can read out the motion if you want, but it's just that the Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee received the financial report for information. And we need a mover and a seconder.
Perfect. Okay. Do I have a motioner? Nancy, seconder, John? Great. Thank you. All in favor? All in favor? Motion passed. Okay. Sorry, if I could just take a pause, we have a guest today. Do I need to introduce the guest?
Go ahead.
And then do we include it in the agenda somewhere? I know I just realized we approved the agenda. Did I take that one
I
through?
think our guest is just here to watch.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
They're not here to do a delegation or presentation. They would have had to have submitted something beforehand.
Okay, so it's just observation. Okay, okay, sorry. So would you like me to introduce or can I just ask you to introduce yourself? Maybe that would be the easiest way of doing it, because I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
I'm just part of the gallery, but
Okay.
my name is Celia Hunter, and I'm with the.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here today. Okay. So we can move on then to general business. 8.1 is our 2025 budget discussion.
Oh. So this is through you, Chairman.
Yes.
This is where the committee members talk about what you would like to do in 2025, what you would like to accomplish, and what the budget allocation should be for those projects. So we are in the budget cycle right now.
Oh, gosh, that came again fast.
It's a little bit earlier this year as well. So department budgets are technically required to be submitted to finance by next Monday.
Okay.
There's a teeny bit of wiggle room. So there is a little bit more wiggle room for boards and committees as well, but if we could get a sense of where you want to go from 25 today with some numbers, we can start building that budget so we can meet our obligations in terms of the broader municipal budget time.
Okay.
just so you know, Chairman Stewart, that at some point in the budget process, a presentation to council will be required from the chair of the committee or, and right. Or you can ask some member of the committee to do that presentation, but we will have to present or ask for council.
Okay.
In the future, so.
So I guess we could use our 2024 work plan in the sense that we know what we have on our plate currently.
Yes.
And then like last year, this is the time if anybody's had some projects or concepts percolating in the back of their brain. We have an open discussion now to chat them through, put some financial lump towards them and then go to council. So anything tweak anybody's interest since we've seen each other or now that we've gone through a year together?
Well, Nelson, we had the bell.
That did got canned.
It got canned.
Did you want to put it back on?
No, there's no use because it'll just get canned again because they want everything, when they tear down the arena, if they get it tore down. Everything has to go down Millbrook Park. The same thing with your signs that you were gonna put up like that. The can, they want it to go down to the park in the middle of Millbrook.
So the 7,000 that we want to put in for next year is going to go to the park.
Well, when it was brought
No,
up,
the 7,000 for the mural, is that? what you're
yeah, the
talking about?
mural, like when it was
No,
brought
no,
up,
it's staying at Station Park. It's just we changed it from a mural to a pylon sign. But that is, the intent is to move forward with it as is, as per Karen's report. And then it's just, it won't be a mural, it'll be a pylon sign. And that would be spent by the end of the year is our plan.
And that's been
Yeah.
approved by council. There's
Yeah.
no issues with that project.
Yeah, that's still there.
I
there was
think
something.
the bell, sorry, if I can just clarify for everyone's memory, I think the concept with the bell was there was pushback from council that because we were proposing that it be installed in front of
The fire hall.
the fire hall,
Yeah,
that they would prefer to see it perhaps downtown should the arena come down. So it's not that they're against it, they just were against the location for it.
And I.
That was
because
my
I think
understanding.
the budget went into Parks and Recreation, like, I don't know if there was
Yes.
budget specifically allocated, but I think it will be a responsibility of the Parks and Recreation Department for that
I
installation.
remember that part too, that yes,
Yeah.
they weren't against it and money would be found somewhere else. It's just the location. So maybe somebody already had an idea and just want to stick with their idea, which, okay. So at least it will be somewhere. We just don't know when.
should we flag it though, Nels? Like, should we flag it to say we don't want this to get lost, right, in the shuffle and maybe bring it back?
I don't know, I know it was brought up at council and they said that put it into Parks and Recreation and
Yeah.
then they'll put it down at the new park. Where if they tear down the arena and build a park down there, that's where they wanna go. But a couple of meetings ago, Karen, they were talking about one of these, I think the mural thing that you're gonna put up at the train station up there.
Yeah.
They wanted it moved down to,
No, I think they supported the motion that stayed where it is, and
I don't think so.
I think we're staying where we are.
Yeah, that was my direction from,
If you're talking about the motion, for this, the report to council about the station signage,
Yes.
project, the council directed staff to kind of, give a report, on the updated design.
concept, the
concept of
design,
project.
yeah.
And there was nothing about a location change. It was still
Yes.
supposed to be in the same location, is, my understanding of it.
And I'm hearing like,
Not the first time we all do that, right?
Maybe the change was just the change in design, not the change in location. Yeah, because I know they supported the change in design. Just not like the location.
okay, I thought it was a location that they were talking about, they wanted it to be more down with this. New park that they want to build in Millbrook, but maybe not.
So there is a design process going on for the downtown park at this moment. There will be public consultation, is my understanding.
Good.
And it might be appropriate for members of the public to make that comment during that consultation that the committee, or we can make a formal, I guess, response from this committee saying that we would like the design to include a location for the bell, and associated signage to go with that.
Okay.
To you, Chair.
Yes.
Just on that, my understanding is, nothing is firmly decided right now, like the committees are gonna be engaged on the downtown park. I know at least two of the other committees are gonna be engaged, I think this one will likely be as well. What that engagement looks like is still to be determined. For instance, there was a previous like specific special session for many of the committees. I don't know if we're gonna have that. I'm not gonna make any promises, but there will be some sort of consultation, it's my understanding. But I think the committee members can also engage as residents of the municipality in the public consultation process. So there are other options, but the committee will be consulted. It's my understanding.
So maybe at that point, we can pass a resolution about what,
Okay,
but you could be thinking about it.
okay. Okay.
So just to continue on
Yes,
what I was saying
yes.
earlier, when we had talked about a ongoing signage and wayfinding program, we were looking at how we could then every year roll money into it and then just add as we go along. So I'm basically saying, can we put money into the budget for next year for additional signage to carry on before starting the railway?
Do you have something specific in mind, or should we just keep it open up at this point, so we have like a placeholder, and then we
Yeah.
can decide where it goes? Like, I guess if I'm following what you're saying, like it could technically, if, let's say everything fell into place, and next year they start doing the park, like the signage could be for the bell or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think there's any shortage of places where we can put up signage, in particular with a, we want to call a generalized theme that's going to get carried through the township.
Okay.
There's probably a gazillion places where you can say, well, that needs a sign, that needs a sign.
Okay.
Right? And it starts elevating our presence corporately throughout the municipality, and it just starts raising people's awareness of this new program.
I think that's a great idea.
And the first one could be that could be the template, right? First one we do at Station Park. Be like a template design.
Like, but I don't think we were gonna go to that extreme for every location. Like some might be just could be a blade on a building. It could be a freestanding pylon, but not one necessarily with or without a roof and four-sided, right?
Mhm.
But we sort of got the concept for the graphics and format, the size and whatever.
Textile. And
Yeah, and
roofs.
then,
Okay.
then you can just drive along and go, oh, that means something.
Okay. So do we, this is just open discussion, so can we just come up with a name, and then I guess we just have to decide what is an applicable or appropriate budget to submit to council for this, like phase 2 is our signage.
Because I think our downtown revitalization strategy included recommendations for a wayfinding program. So maybe is that what you call it, like a wayfinding sign?
Yeah.
I think it's wayfinding, but I think it's also information, isn't it, John? Like you're
It's
gonna have.
both.
Yeah, because you're
You're
gonna have some
finding your way,
details.
and then when you found your way,
Right.
then if there's
There's some
something important
education.
at that spot, then. You have text, data, QR, whatever. In some location, maybe just like, go here, but it's just part of a generalized program that helps people that aren't familiar with the town, or those that even live in the town, how to get around and where to go. Without giving them the typical farmer's hand gesture.
Okay, so we'll have our signage wayfinding info project. What, John, do you feel is like an appropriate? So we need a number, right?
Yes, we need a number and a name. I kind of scribbled down a name. I'll clear it with the committee.
Okay.
Before we propose the budget.
Okay, okay. What do you think is a realistic budget to carry for that one? Well, let's look at what we did
If
for
you
the
play
train
both, you
station.
go high first. Right?
I know. And it's easier to go high and come in lower. That's the reality of
So why not throw in 7,
7.
see what happens.
Okay,
7,000.
Might be able to get 2 done.
that's what I was thinking too, depending on what it is.
Right.
It's 1 if it's 2, but it's phase 2. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
To you, Chair, I just do have a question about the program, just for the name. Is this specific to Millbrook, the wayfinding signage like downtown Millbrook, or is it for the entire municipality?
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in
Yeah.
and wave the flag. We are Cabin Monaghan. This is the Municipal Revitalization.
I agree.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because it's I think if I remember, like even our sort of designs reviewed either the last meeting or the meeting before, it pulled in like the Canon Monaghan logo and had the colors, like
Yep.
we were really trying to capture
Township wide.
township wide.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so we bought our phase 2 for signage, I'll just call it signage project for now until we push a name for it. Any other things? Didn't see any of these concepts, something that's been bugging you or no, nothing? Council Edgerton, anything?
No.
No one?
I just wanted to add another thing about the cultural mapping.
Oh, okay.
Um, Celia, since you're here. We talked about how the historical society can get involved with cultural mapping. How we get involved with pulling out photographs and information. Is there an expense to that?
The organization, we do it all.
Okay.
The love of history.
Would we need any money for that at some point?
So. I'm trying not to lead you. But I want you to have wholesome information. So in the operating budget, there was money that was rolled over from when Connor was here, and then we couldn't replace him, and. So I did talk to the director of finance, so there may be an opportunity to hire a summer student.
Okay.
So is that, and that was kind of the. One of the key items that I had in my mind was. Our collaboration with the Historical Society, pulling information for that cultural mapping project. Doing what they can, if anything, to help with them, the bylaws. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, we need to start putting together some information, I think, about historical places or uses in the township or important people, because I think we're missing. If we focus on the buildings a lot, but I think some, maybe the piece about some people is missing. You know,
Which is just as important because that's sometimes something becomes designated just because of its association with the person. Has nothing to do with the architecture.
so. That's an option, and that. For your consideration.
So it's just like piggybacking on the signage, when we have this the QR code. There's gotta be information banked somewhere, right? So that
Yes.
when somebody hits it, and as you said, it's important. The community is just as important for the people that founded it, lived here, and were characters. Right, than a building that's static, doesn't breathe, right? So I think that's folklore and all those. We have some murders and mysteries and stuff in town, and
Or, again, we try and think of like places like Cavan. Where Tinney's actually had a boogie factory there. Up in Mount Pleasant, like they built Phantom Mills and stuff like that.
They built what, sorry?
Pardon?
What did they build?
They built boogies, there was a boogie. And,
Buggy,
in Cavan.
Oh, buggies.
well, like, of course,
Yeah,
course,
and up-
buggy.
and up in Mount Pleasant, like they built barrels.
That's, yeah.
They built barrels up there, I guess, to store their whiskey in, I don't know, the wooden barrels. Was built up there, Phantom Mills and stuff in Mount Pleasant.
so, you know, that I just. My creative thing says, yeah, that's where you wanna see a little kiosk of barrels.
Yeah.
With a little historical signs, and people can kind of start floating through the township and exploring stuff, and even though things are long gone, there's emblems or examples of something that goes along with the story that makes it interesting, right? like a walking tour.
Yeah, so with the starting point for that, Karen, we do have that. Those cultural resources that were identified as part of the cultural mapping project. And it includes like properties and barns and all that sort of stuff. Is it to start with that? Look at it, see what's there, see what's still relevant, and maybe add to it. And is that something that a student could help us with? I'm thinking of the skill set. If there's a specific skill set that this individual would need, you're probably going to get somebody who's first or second year university or college. To inventory, go take a look at those cultural resources. I mean, you can put them on a spreadsheet, they can go and check them, take a look at them, take pictures of them, and if you have a subcommittee that can review them, and members of the historical society maybe be part of that subcommittee, and then maybe add to them. Is there a process to add to the cultural mapping?
Not really at this moment.
Okay.
But I think if we collect the data, then that we can, that can be a future potential project to update what's on the county's yes at this moment, right?
So I think the time to do that is probably going to be a fairly sizable project, as well as collect the stories behind it. Do you see 2025 as being the cost to fund that position? We can apply to Canada Summer Works, right? For
Yeah.
that, but you only have them for a short
Right,
period
I
of
mean,
time.
I don't want to be here a year from now saying we haven't done anything.
Right,
Right,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I think sooner than later, so. Jump on it and.
Wasn't, sorry to jump in, wasn't one of our discussions, no, it might have even been like previous committee talking about this culture mapping, was just even having someone cross-reference, because a lot of them were just rural structures and they might not even be in existence anymore. It was just going through the inventory, going to the address and like, there's no longer a barn here. And then taking it off, and then we have an updated one, and then we could jump into that.
Yeah, I think taking things off the cultural mapping is probably not gonna be an issue.
Okay.
For.
Adding
for
things might
GIS.
change.
Yeah, the adding, but I don't know, I will put that on my list because the People County GIS is, the technology for their existing system is worn out, so they're navigating to the new, software, or whatever. I don't know all the lingo about how they host all these things, but
Okay.
that's happening later this year, so it's something that I can float.
And this, I guess I'm putting this question to you, Karen. For cultural heritage mapping, my experience with it has been just specifically structures. Is there a way, I don't know if it includes it, or like we just discussed, could include it, could it pick up like persons, events, places, like that's the terms that designations use to identify something of significance. Is there a way, or could we potentially expand at least our cultural heritage mapping to pick up those person, place, or event in Culver Township? Is that possible?
So we did the cultural mapping project a long time
Okay,
ago. And we had specific money for that. So there was a whole cultural mapping, there was a report that went with it that identified everything in the
Okay.
process. Do you want to do a new cultural mapping project?
I believe if we've just been talking about adding some life to it, including people and events, then definitely. We should be adding that into mapping. So that just makes it alive as opposed to static, and brings a lot more interest. And if we're looking at tourism opportunities and stuff like that, that becomes a drawing card.
and I'm almost thinking if we have an updated culture heritage map picking up multiple things, then that almost becomes like our table of contents in a sense for our signage project.
Totally.
And they overlap one
Yep.
another.
Yeah, they integrate nicely.
So like 1 year, we could be like, okay, our mission this year, our theme is gonna be people. And like if we put our budget in perhaps we can like pick 2 important people to their signage the following year. Okay, now we're gonna pick 2 or 3 events and then signage, we get those out there.
When you see events, what do you mean?
The fire
Or
downtown.
a fire, or there was like a political rally, or
Okay, so that.
those type of like
Okay.
historical
Got it.
events, or like barn burning happened, you know, in this concession from here to here during this time because of what was going on in the political climate at the time
So
or
you want to
something.
decide about the cabin.
Perhaps.
I would say don't talk about-
Shoreline
Careful
captures a
about barn
lot of
burning,
stuff
yeah.
like that,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
so is it an opportunity for us to kind of,
Yes, I think the historical society also has lots.
It's
Oh, for
sometimes like
sure,
a building and a person tied together, like it's this person, so this is why we know this building, or we know this event because of this person, like sometimes they go hand in hand. But it's, I don't know, sometimes it is just an event. That's just as important, even just to say.
you got
this is-
lots of stories, I can see it percolating in your head.
Well, I'm just thinking like, the older people that we used to get all this information from, they passed on now, like, unless it's wrote in some of the history books. About some of the stuff.
We've done some interviews, right? Yeah, we've done a lot of audio tapes.
But that's good, like, like the guys who used to tell us the stories, they,
That would be cool to like digitize some of those, right?
Well, yeah,
And
well,
put them
yeah,
out there,
totally.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
But your signage, we could link those, like if you have the sign, the QR code.
Yeah.
Then on that web page, it gives you that
Digital.
link to be
Yeah.
able to
Right.
listen to it.
Mm.
So it's not just somewhere, at least for this.
Mhm.
Well, I think from
Lost.
again, just from a bringing people into the community, when you have the opportunity of having a digitally run walking tour, self-guided that people can, anyway, that's just a huge attraction.
Mhm.
And you can bring people from Europe that want to come down here and hear about the Blazers and, or when the downtown.
But you can build packages to it, like,
Yeah.
you know, when we were in Quebec, they had like a whole package on Louise Penny. Just outside of Sherbrooke, in her hometown, right, it was like a whole tour of the community that she based her books on, right? So you can build a whole package.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm sort of looking at staff, but then members as well. Is cultural mapping review project, I know we have it on our work plan, is that a term we wanna maintain? And then right now we have no budget for that, so what would be the best way of summarizing our concept here to move forward and present to council?
Did you want to shine in first, just sorry?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we just have to chunk it up.
Okay,
I think to start with, you need to start with the inventory and see what you have
okay,
and what you could add or take away. And maybe that's where we put in the budget for this year for that summer student. Does that make sense? Karen?
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is
Yeah.
so we're actually gonna ask, the budget ask will be for the summer student.
Yeah.
And these are the things that the summer student is going to do.
Mhm.
okay.
And then once, like, we collect the information and get ourselves organized in 2026, then that's the
When you start
implementation of some
implementation.
of the signage.
Okay,
Yeah, and in the meantime, I will ask Tammy about how we navigate the working with the GIS and see if then, because that might, we'll have to navigate whatever that is. There is some money in, this year's budget for contracted services, which is some of that money goes to the maintaining the downtown mural. But, you know, there is. Maybe we need to bump that up a little bit too, because if we do, you know.
So just thinking of what council might do, if they see an expense, if that can be offset by a grant. Right, where it's paid for, then they might be more willing to say, yeah, we don't mind that if that comes into place, right?
Yeah, we would apply for, I can tell you, we would apply for a summer student grant.
Mhm.
Those grants, they only subsidize, I think, would say like $2 an hour or something, but it's something.
30%.
But we are, the township is engaged with the new process in terms of grant matching, and so if anything comes up, it gets flagged and we're on it.
Mhm.
Well, and I think if where we're sitting, if the reality of the situation is, by the looks of it, we're only asking for 2 new projects for budget 2025. I think that looks pretty simple from
Mhm.
our side, and I think we could. And honestly, they work together. Like, we're starting the signage project, the cultural mapping, having it, eventually they will work hand in hand together. I feel like you could easily argue why these are essential projects that need to be funded. So, I don't know, Karen, Bridget, what do you think sort of, like, I know we're gonna hire a student, should we have any, like, additional, or like attempt to hire a student? Should we carry any additional money beyond that for the cultural mapping project, or is that sort of sufficient for sort of, let's call it phase 1?
I would recommend we carry a little bit of additional money, because there will be mileage
Okay,
requirements, like if they're gonna go and do the site visits and take photos.
okay,
There may be some need, maybe we're gonna do a little bit of advertising to say this is going on.
okay,
We may need, I think the Historical Society is in with us, but we may need. Like, I'm not sure where their resources are or what they, so I would put a little extra money in there, I'm grant with.
okay,
We may want to do like little sessions where people come and tell stories, right? To see if there's any stories we don't have,
okay.
right?
I'm sure there's lots of stuff.
We might need some money for recording equipment or specialists, like subscription services, to help the student do their work as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I can tell you, so right now, under, wages, there is $29,300 that we did not spend, that was something that left over.
Okay.
So, Director of Finance thinks we need about $15,000 for a summer student. So maybe we asked for the entire amount,
Okay.
just say, we're just gonna use what we didn't use this year, and this is how we're gonna distribute it.
That sounds good to me.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's,
The water is 9%.
yeah, that's 29,000.
Just wanted to double check.
We'll distribute that, I could help you with it. You know.
Anything else? Any other projects for 2025? Those are, I think, are some big initiatives, so.
I would suggest that all of your jobs is then to keep a list, whether it's up here or where you write it down. Important stories that you think need to be told, whether it's about a place, event, person. You know,
And I think this is my own opinion, so sorry if I shouldn't be saying this, but I think this is a really good time to be doing an initiative like this. Because the reality is Kevin, Monica, and Millbrook especially, the demographic is changing, the population is getting bigger, we have new people coming in. And I think we don't want to lose our history to how things are changing, not to say how things are changing are bad. But I grew up in a town very similar to Millbrook, and it developed very, very, very quickly. So what we used to call the original population, where, you go into town and everybody knew your business, by the time you got home, that disappeared within 15 years. And all the history associated with that, where that barn used to be, where someone used to make liquor in the bush and sell stuff, like those neat kind of stories, or, there was a ginger field back here in the day, and this is what they used to do during World War II to support the troops or something like that. That disappeared, and it died, like it basically died with my grandmother's generation. And there was no projects and there was no initiatives to feel that was important to maintain. So I think this is the time now when we still have well, we have resources in the sense of online information, but the resources that we have, the people here still that have that information firsthand. Okay, so any other projects? I think this is sort of our thing for 2025. Okay, so how do we wanna word this so that we can have a motion?
Okay, so I have something here and I don't think it's gonna be perfect and we might have to do some corrections or modifications with the proposal for council. And we
Okay,
have some money that's also might come out for the end of the year. So I just want to clarify a couple things. So I'm just gonna call the annual project that John was proposing, the wayfinding signage project for now. Is that okay? And we're asking for an annual ask of $7,000 for that. And then the other one we're talking about is a summer student and materials for the cultural mapping project. And we're asking for a rollover of the 29,300 that was unspent in wages. Does that last part sound correct to you, Karen?
Yeah, I would just say the 29,300, and that will distribute that to wages and
Other.
other
expenses.
expenses.
No, but that's important because we need to authorize, we're not spending the money what was originally assigned, so we need to kind of
Yes,
re-ask.
yeah.
I think that's good. Yeah, we can massage the wayfinding sign once we sort of figure it out, but as long as we have a placeholder. I think the intent is wayfinding, so.
Mhm. So I'm gonna read a draft resolution. It has some of the items from our operating budget in 2024 that should continue on to 2025. If I make a mistake or something needs to be changed, please correct me. Otherwise, we'll do that as your
As our
motion.
motion, okay.
Okay, so this was trying to be done on the fly, so it'll be perfect. That the Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee requests for the 2025 operating budget, the inclusion of the Heritage Awards for $500, contracted services for mural restoration of $1,500, landscaping at Station Park of $1,000, and Springville and Ebenezer sanitary restoration of $740, as well as the addition of 2 new initiatives for 2025, being the wayfinding signage project, requesting $7,000, and a summer student and other items for the cultural mapping project, requesting a rollover of 29,300 unspent wages to be reassigned. So not rollover, to be reassigned to this project. I'll fix the wording.
Do I have a motion? John, seconder, Nancy, all in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that was our 2025 budget discussion. I guess then 8.2 is our 2024 work plan. We've kind of discussed in some capacity here and there, but would you like me to go over it, or Karen and Bridget, would you like to?
Feel free to manage it.
Yeah, okay. So I think I'll just run through the chart because we've already talked about this, so it's just so everyone's on the same page. We have our station parquet by the mural landscaping. We chatted about that, the $1,000 landscaping. It's awaiting completion of the downtown mural. And please jump in if I've forgotten anything or missed something or there's another date. Springville and Ebenezer Cemetery restoration, the $740 clerk's budget, again being carried forward next year. And like Karen noted, she popped over and we discussed a couple of items there, red flags that they're going to address. Review and update of the current heritage bylaws. That is going on. I guess I can provide an update there. They have been sitting with me this summer. It's been a very busy summer.
You baby.
So they are ongoing. I will keep going as fast as I possibly can. But we have them in draft form. I review them, I submit them. So now that
And we are
like,
just, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We're just gonna carry on, like it's just gonna, when Ashley's done her thing, we're gonna then move them to the front of the line to get on the council agenda, so we'll do that advertising, the notice. It'll just be an ongoing, rolling effort.
Yes.
So there's no specific schedule, but I just want you to also know is when they're ready, they're gonna go.
Yes, exactly, yep. Heritage Awards, I guess, just like Karen was saying, it's, always open, so if anyone thinks of anyone, please make an application. I've written down one, I have someone in mind, so I will put that on my to-do list.
And I can put on my to-do list to do some more push out of that,
Okay.
to push it out on social media and put it back up on the front page of the website and, try and solicit some comments.
Fantastic. The train station signage, that's again ongoing.
Just an update on that.
Okay,
So,
great, okay.
so John and I have actually, and Karen, John was, helpful in providing us with a list of potential, sign contractors.
Okay,
So, we have reached out to, I think, a total of 8, John? 10?
wow,
Yeah, 8 or 10.
That's
It's
great.
quite a list, yeah.
Including the 2 local ones.
That's what I mean, yeah. So I think there were 6 that
Yeah.
you sent, and then there was another 2 that you added. So, so we're in the process of kind of working with them, to get, I think the lengthy part will be kind of deciding on the design. I think the actual construction and installation of the sign is fairly straightforward, and they certainly have indicated that it could be done by the end of the year. So that's good. But I think we may have to call a special meeting just to approve the design, because we do have to take it back to council for final approval and then installation. But, we are cooking along pretty quick with that, so.
So thinking about installation before the end of the year, and preference would be to do it before it's freezing.
Yeah.
So if I'm going backwards, we'd have to go to council like next month. Right?
Probably. When I talked to one of the contractors, he did not seem to be phased at all about installation
Right.
before the end of the year.
Right.
So, to me, I think his biggest concern was finalizing the design.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where we really need to push on that. And maybe if we can spend some time next week in finalizing that, next week or the week after, and then we can take it maybe to a. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll be the second meeting in October.
Yeah.
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah, I mean, once you
Because
kind of get that.
Everything would have to be finalized a week in advance.
Yeah. So it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. Yeah.
I have a question, the type of installation intended. Is it something that could be done even if the sign, like, is it something that could be done, let's say, in the next? And then sit there over the winter, even if the sign's not done? Like, I know I do that, we do that sometimes at work, it's like okay, let's get this done before our cold season hits.
Doing the panels themselves is not an issue.
Okay,
It's gonna be whatever we end up deciding, fabrication of the pylon armature that supports it all.
okay,
There's a couple of options. We can do in-ground, we can do surface mount.
okay,
Again, if the weather's good, it's cheaper than when it's not. You're doing things in spring.
yeah, we have to get into full construction, the
Right.
price just goes out the roof, so that's why I was kind of thinking, like, is there a way, even if I guess like what I'm thinking is, even if we don't, or just so we meet deadlines, even if we don't have our special meeting to approve what's on it, could the concept still go to council saying, here's the concept, the content is still TBD, but here's what we're thinking, we need this for installation, approve this, then we'll come back to you with the final, like, the pretty stuff. Not to
Yeah.
put it that simple, but I'm just trying to
no,
think like how we could
that's
phase it,
definitely-
because I always use like. Well, I usually use September 30th as like my cutoff for warm to cold construction, but you sometimes get some wiggle room in October. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I was
think-
thinking, like,
yeah.
could we, they've already okayed it, so could we just say, like, this is where we are, we're just trying to keep things moving.
Yeah, and I think, from staff's perspective, we just want to try and get it the money's spent and done before the end of the year, because I think this one has been on the books for a while. It's changed kind of focus a
Yeah.
couple of times, so I think there's a sensitivity that we don't roll it over again. Because I think, you know, I think, you know, I certainly got the sense from council that they wanted to see the project done and off the books.
Okay.
If we have to, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I
Sure.
think our focus is going to be to try and get it done by the end of the year.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
We could get the construction cost out. There's a big chunk. And then even if, I'm assuming that the signage consultant would need some sort of deposit, there's another chunk of it.
Yeah.
And then if there's any delays on their end, at least then it doesn't delay the construction as well, potentially. So I'm just trying to think, essentially, how can we spend money as quickly as possible?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
from the sign company's perspective, the size of the sign, the
Yeah.
number of the panels, all that is just kind of like buying a truck.
Okay,
What the color is and some of the little nuances, not a big deal because it's a truck. So we can finalize a quote from a sign manufacturer and then say, okay, we'll work on the graphics and the font color and the style and all, that doesn't matter,
yes,
but we can get a contract signed. And then get the council, as you said, get it approved and they can actually start construction, put the frame up in place. Well, while we're working on the sign details.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Is that what
Because
you're
there's gonna be
thinking?
multiple, I'm assuming too, it'd be similar to what I deal with. It's the shop drawing reviews. We
Yep.
send it, we look at it. Oh, let's tweak this, go back.
Yep.
Probably have one or two iterations, whatnot.
Yep.
So yeah, that we could be dealing with that, but also while the base is being constructed and done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we think we could handle it that way? And I guess too is, how do we sort out the, I guess essentially specifications for the base? The construction of the base itself, how's that?
So kind of what we're doing right now is we're asking for budget pricing from the different players that we've approached.
Okay,
Some haven't responded, others have, some already sent in quotes.
Mhm.
And you look at the quotes and say, okay, we do this, this or this. So we can sort of fine tune it, so we get something that's palatable. And then we can
Mhm.
award it and
Move forward,
Okay.
yeah. We're still kind of working at we're trying to work within our budget
Gotcha.
as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's some things that are like.
there's some ways and means.
Yeah, there was one that came in that just about sent us over the edge, but,
Right.
but, you know, to John's point,
Yeah.
okay, we gotta work this,
Okay. Fantastic.
backward, yeah.
okay,
So,
We might be needing you back.
I don't have a background.
Okay.
okay,
yeah.
okay, so that sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay, so we could potentially phase it to council and, yeah, let's try to aim so we avoid full
Yeah, I would
construction.
think we would probably easily, within the next 2 weeks, have a final price.
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
So I don't have a problem.
And they could mobilize pretty quickly once you okay their code.
They seem to indicate, yeah, that
Okay.
they could, so,
Okay, great. Okay. Then we'll take that to council and,
yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, I think, as you said, if we could get like even a deposit and a commitment to, you know, if there's a problem with construction in terms of weather, but they're on the books for the following spring,
exactly,
you know,
yes.
ideally, we don't want to do that, no, but
Okay,
So as long as the PO.
cross that
is
bridge when we
issued,
get there.
it's considered done, right?
I'd have to talk to Kimberly about that, whether, yeah, I mean, if the funds are committed in terms of a deposit or, you know,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that was your train station signage update. Existing mural restoration and maintenance, Karen told us that's gonna be done for the end of the year. Our DL Springville and Ebenezer Cemetery signage. Oh, yes, Wording is
Yes.
still being worked on.
Yes, so there's a
Okay.
lot of, so that with the MTO's work, there's a lot of information about Springville now.
Fantastic.
Which is fantastic, but I was having a conundrum about, okay, so do we want mostly about people, about the place, like, what do you want on the signage? Cause it's going to the cemetery, but like, let's be honest, the stones in the cemetery are limited, so,
Right.
so I'm, at this point in time, I'm thinking about rounding out a little bit about the importance of Springville, the church associated, and maybe a couple other people.
Okay, keep it high level.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, great. And then, like always, our cultural mapping review project, but we've just talked about that in our budget for 2025. Okay, so that is our 2024 work plan. I do need a motion to just start discussion or no? we're
No,
good?
no, that gives you, the committee just, it's just noted.
Okay.
You will need a motion for that side.
Okay. Item 8.3 is our 2025 meeting schedule.
To you, Chair, can I just speak about this? quickly?
Yes, of course.
So this is taken out of our procedural bylaws, so unless somebody has a significant issue with it, I think it should be adopted as proposed. It's the third Thursday of the month set out in the schedule.
Okay.
Just wanted to present.
Great.
it to the committee.
Okay, so we have January 16th, March 20th, June 19th, September 18th. If I can have a motion for these proposed meeting dates. Nancy, a seconder? John, all in favor? Motion carried. Fantastic. And then our last item is our adjournment. So again, a reminder, our next meeting is not until January 16th. And other than that, we can adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion? Nancy, a seconder? John, all in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
You just-